In our country and our culture, we're typically trained to think of kings and queens and monarchs kind of in a negative light. They're concerned with power and authority and oppression, and they want to submit and have other people to submit to their own rule. They want to be the ones in total control. It's usually something we shy away against. Our country was literally founded on our rebellion against a monarchy, right? Democracy is the rule, right? The rule by the people, for the people, and all these things are good, and that's what we should be striving for, right? Presidents and prime ministers are preferred to kings and queens because they are elected not to show authority over the people, but rather to serve the people. They are given their power by the people, and they're put in those places of authority not for their own power, but in order to serve the ones who actually put them in that place, right? They cater to us, so to speak. I think if we're honest, that is the kind of view that we would like to have with God. Right? We don't want to submit ourselves totally to God, but I rather wish a little bit that God would cater to me, right? That he would do the things that I ask him to do, that if he would listen to me, then our lives would be so much better. If he would just give me the things that I see that I think that I need or that I want, well, then everything would be great and fine, right? We want him to cater to us. We're the ones who's really in charge. We have the full picture. It's not. It's unsurprisingly how the Lord operates. That's not how he wants to operate. That's not how he will operate. What God asks for is something a little bit different than that. He does ask for total trust. He does ask for total surrender. He does ask for total control. Today we celebrate this feast of Christ the King, where we acclaim Christ not as a president or a prime minister, but we acclaim Christ as a king. The one who is in charge, the one who has total dominion, total power, total authority. He's the one who doesn't want to submit us to submit to him in maybe partial ways, or God, can you do these things for me? But he wants the total surrender of our whole heart and our whole life to him. He wants to be a total and complete control type of king. Now, if Christ were a tyrant kind of king like we often think of, my own reaction to that would be absolutely not. I would never submit to that kind of king. I don't want, if that's the kind of king Jesus is going to be, I don't want him to be the king of my own life. I don't want to have power stripped from me into someone who I don't trust, I don't know has my good at heart. Why would I submit to that kind of a king? Good news is that especially in the gospel reading that we hear today, Jesus reminds us that that is the furthest thing from the kind of king that he actually is. He is nothing like a king of this world. He is nothing like any of the images of the powerful, oppressive, tyrant kings that we think of or that we read about in the history books. He is a king of a totally different kind. His one and only desire is for your good and for mine. That is all he's concerned about. And if we let him, if we give him that total control that he desires from us, like that's what he can bring about. He can satisfy every desire of our hearts. He can heal every hurt or wound that we've received in this life. He can truly take care of everything. He can calm every fear and every anxiety. He can give us a sure foundation to stand on because he is a king who will never let us down if we continue to live totally for him. And again, if I'm honest, that's the kind of king that I want. I would like somebody who I can totally trust, who I can surrender everything to, where nothing fully rests on my shoulders because I can give it to the one who I know is going to take care of everything. Because without that kind of king, well, then everything does rest on my shoulders. It is up to me to make sure everything happens the way that I think it should. That weight rests on my shoulders, and that leads to a life of heaviness, of miseries, of anxiety, of fear, of constantly trying to feel like I have to keep everything together. And that life isn't a life of freedom. That is a life of oppression. And Jesus did not desire us to live that kind of life. He created us for so much more than to live a life of oppression. Paradoxically, it's in totally surrendering myself to him, in totally giving control over every aspect of my life to him, that I find not oppression, but I find real freedom. And the question for us on this Christ the King Sunday is, am I willing to give the king, the true king, total control of my life? Total control over every aspect of my life, over every aspect of my marriage, of my family, every aspect of my work or my finances or my school, the direction that I think my life is headed. Am I willing to give Jesus total control? Usually there's some aspect that I have a little bit of a tighter grip on. I'll give Jesus partial control over this, but not everything. I don't actually think he'll be able to provide for me totally. I have to do it myself a little bit, right? But what the Lord asks for is not partial control, not control over these aspects of my life, but I have to manage these other ones. What the Lord desires of us is to be king of everything, to let there be nothing that is not part of his total reign within our own hearts. But the thing about the Lord, like we said, he is not a king who rules by violence. He is not a king who rules by force. He's not going to come and lay claim over us if we're not ready for him to, if we don't want him to. He's going to patiently wait until we open the door and ask him, Jesus, I give this part of my life, I give my entire heart to you, and I need you to take control here. I need you to be king here because I can't do it by myself anymore. Can we do that today? What's the one part of your life, the one thing that you just can't manage by yourself anymore, that you want the Lord to take control over? That's the area of your life, that's the area of your heart that you should offer to him as you pray today. Jesus, here's in my life where I need you to be king. Here's where I want to submit more totally to your rule. I need your help to surrender everything to you. Take total control so that I can live the life that you desired me to live and that you created me for. If we let Christ be king of everything, we'll experience all the benefits, all the blessings, and all the peace that his kingdom can bring to us. And that's what he wants to give to you. As we celebrate this feast day today, Jesus, let's make this our prayer. Jesus, be king of every aspect of my life. Be king of my heart. Amen.